It's really, really, really difficult to get people who don't have any form of gender dysphoria to understand what it's kind of like to need to transition, to get to that point where it's either I need to transition and I need to become this other gender, or I would rather not live. And it's a very, very difficult thing to get across. Basically, have you ever been in a store, like a convenience store or whatever, and you really wanted a candy bar, so you just took it off the shelf and tried to walk out with it? The manager catches you, takes you back, and you feel really, really bad. You're stuck right there. They have to call your parents. They have to do all of this stuff, and your parents are in talking to them. You're in the hallway, sitting on this chair, feeling incredibly guilty about yourself, incredibly bad, and you just hate the fact that you did this. That's what I felt like 24/7. And when I was a kid, I didn't really identify with males or females. There were males and there were females, and then there was me. And it was about the time when I started to hit male puberty where I'm sitting here kind of not liking what's going on with my body and desperately wishing that what was happening to all the other girls around me was happening to me. And I didn't know why. I didn't understand why that was happening. You hear a lot about like the girl trapped in the boy's body, but gender dysphoria isn't always like the girl trapped in a boy's body. It can just be that I feel really, really wrong and I don't understand why. And then you just have this journey to discover and figure it out. And that's kind of what mine was. I felt like this really bad, torturous, guilty feeling in my stomach, and I didn't understand why. So around the summer between 8th and 9th grade, I started cross-dressing at home. And
you mean in the house, or do you mean
in the house?
Hometown? In the
house. I kept it a secret and everything. I knew that this wasn't something I was supposed to do, but it kind of made me feel good. It was that brief vacation from that feeling that I had just developing in me. And at first I thought it was kind of a sexual quirk or whatever. I just get into these clothes and then a short while later I'd get out. Well, as I went through my entire high school years, I started doing that for longer and longer and longer. I started feeling more and more content with myself in female clothing. And I started feeling happy because I would mimic the mannerisms I had learned from girls. And I would be happy, but I can only do it in the confines of my own home. Simultaneously, around 10th grade, I decided to grow my hair out, and I kind of looked like that emo goth kid type of person in high school. And several of my friends started pressuring me and everything. They're just like, you should cross-dress, you look like a girl, come on, you should cross-dress. And of course, I have to be this man, so I'm just like, no, that can't happen, no. But inside, I'm just like, thank God, I look like a girl. And all of my friends didn't even clock me, they didn't get it, they didn't uncover my secret. I held it for 4 straight years. I went through 2 relationships with it. I dated 2 females, and in the first relationship, it was kind of one of those, I don't know what I'm doing in this relationship. I cannot carry on this male role, and I'm not allowed to have the female one. And then in the second one, it was kind of me trying to figure out how to defy that, figure out how to get away from this whole feeling, this torturous feeling of me presenting as someone that I'm not. So I went through that, and around the senior year, I started researching transition. I had always known that it was possible since 8th or 9th grade, but it was always pictured to me as that drag queen that doesn't really pass and can't be a female. And I'm just like, that's terrible. No, I don't want to be like that. And as soon as I started researching, I discovered passability and being trans is a lot more than that. It's being able to satisfy yourself from within, and it's being able to understand that you don't have to be this person you're not. and fighting that could damage you in ways that you could never have thought possible. So I went through transition pretty fast. Afterward, I'm like, how do I come out? What do I do? My second relationship ended, and I'm like, okay, this is a perfect time, opportune time. I just graduated from high school. I can do this. And while I was planning it out and everything, it didn't exactly happen the way that I wanted it to, because my dad walked in on me while I was cross-dressing. Awkward. My dad is about, he's very old. He's about 68, 69, and he's very, very conservative. Grew up here in Cheyenne and went to St. Mary's his entire life, got a graduation from that. Ran a very successful pizza company called Harry's Pizza. He's very well known in town, and here his son is in female clothes, representing as female, and really, really wanting to tell everyone else. So he tells me, I'm fine with it as long as you keep it in your basement and you keep it closed and locked up and you don't tell anybody. Hide this. And I'm like, I'm not sure I can. So I spent about 3 weeks coming out, and this is the fun part. I spent about 3 weeks coming out, and my UU friends, the Unitarian Universalist friends that I had been pressuring me to cross-dress several times. And the reason I didn't do it was because I was afraid that because I knew that I'd be able to pass, which means actually pass as a female without being clocked or discovered, I figured that would not be that big of a jump from, so this person cross-dressed and looks really good and seems to enjoy themselves, so it's not a far jump to they want to be female. And it was interesting. So I finally decided, yes, I'll do it. So I go to Fort Collins and I cross-dress and everything, and I have my first real life experience as a woman. And that feeling was, one, it released all of that torturous feeling from me, that guilt and that not understanding. And it opened up an entire world of happiness for me. It allowed me to feel the way that I felt and express myself the way that I felt.
When you say your first experience, you mean in public?
Yes.
Dressing as a woman.
Going around town. Actually, I spent 3 solid days as a female and didn't want to get out. I was in 4-inch heels and I had been walking in them for 72 hours. I had blisters, they were red, and I still wanted to walk around in public as a female. It meant a lot to me, and that's probably one of the most special days I've ever had in my life. So after I did that in Fort Collins, I came out to all of those friends, and I'm like, yeah, I've been doing this, I want to do this, and I want to transition. So then I came to Cheyenne, and none of my family is on Facebook. So I'm like, hey guys, so guess what's happening? Please don't kill me, and if you don't want to be my friend, then whatever. I just pretty much said, like, screw it all to the world, and came out. Then about a week after I did that, I told my dad, and I remember it quite distinctly. He was making food on a stove right next to our downstairs staircase, and I was halfway down the stairs, and I'm like, Dad, I need to tell you something. And he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, you know that whole cross-dressing thing I have and everything? And he's like, yeah. Well, everyone knows, and I'm going to transition to become a female. And he's just like, drops the spatula, walks into the other room, grabs his coat, comes back and says, I'm going to the bar. And he spent the rest of the night there. And we were never talking since then. What ended up happening was he kicked me out of the house and said that I could never set foot into it again. I ended up on my own, and we didn't talk for a solid year. About 3 days after that, I went to my mom, feeling pretty terrible, but still wanting to go through with the transition. This was too important for me to be set back by my dad's reaction. And I go over to my mom, it's Saturday. Before I enter on this part of it, I want to tell you a little bit about my mother. My mom has been in 5 marriages She's been around the block. She kind of had this deal. She has 8 children. She's kind of been around the block. Her first children was at the age of 16, her first child. And she has been in and out of relationships all the time, my entire life. So I go over to my mom's house and I'm like, here's the deal, I have to tell you something. And when I came out to my mom, I was expecting her to react like my father did, but she kind of one-upped me in my transition, actually. It's pretty impressive to one-up someone who's changing their gender. So basically, I sit her down, and I'm in this chair, and it's Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. She's in her pajamas, just woke up and everything, and I'm like, I have to tell you something, and my dad didn't react very well, so I'm really hoping that you don't, and I'm incredibly nervous, knot in my stomach. And I'm like, okay, so I decided to break it to her in stages. I cross-dress. I like female clothing. And she's like, okay. And then I'm like, I like to cross-dress in public. I identify as a female. And she's like, okay. And then I'm like, I want to be a girl, and I want to make the transition, and I want to change my sex. And she just looks at me and goes, okay, well, that makes what I have to tell you a bit easier. What? So she's just like, I'm a lesbian. And I'm like, cool. That's interesting. Cool. Nice. And that's not exactly what one-upped me. What one-upped me was when her partner walks out of her bedroom in pajamas to make coffee in the other room. And that's how I meet my mom's girlfriend. So she's pretty cool. She's pretty good. And the interesting thing is, save for my mother, my family, in support of me, in support of everyone else, and I think this is like the coolest thing about my life, we all came out within 1 week to cover GLBT. All of us. Like, basically what happened was, I came out as trans, so my mom came out as a lesbian, and in defense, my sister came out as bisexual, and my 2 brothers, I already knew were gay, but they hadn't told the family. They came out, and then my oldest brother decided to throw a little icing on the cake by saying that he was being stationed in North Korea for the Army. And we almost gave my aunt a heart attack. And understandably so. I mean, what does a family do when an entire half of the family just came out?
That's a lot of rainbow all at once.